Oculus is coming to action and all this stuff.
So what's gonna happen, Nintendo?
Yeah. Well, ¿cuál es el futuro que vos le mirás con a ellos?
Dude, that's a tough call because I think that Nintendo has been with this idea that they're super traditional in terms of how they tackle business. And by traditional, like Japanese traditional, right? And also they're conservative. I think they're conservative in their way they design games and how they approach innovation. And with and that's, I guess it comes with the territory. They're not scared to experiment. I mean, they were the ones who made the millions of dollars with the Wii. They experimented. So it's not. I don't know if it's too much innovation that gets them in. That stalls them. I think it's their mentality of multiplayer and porting, and how the industry is changing around them. And I don't know if they know how to respond to the changes of the industry. Like now, smartphones, are overtaking everything in terms of gaming.
Yeah, because that's exactly what I want to go to. Because basically, these people are se están dedicando, on getting stuck on the same spot. They gotta move on, man. They gotta go ahead and I know they're pretty traditional.
Yeah.
On the way they design games and the consoles and they as well, they also have a pretty specific and obvious public, kids, family. But what's gonna happen to the other gamers? The hardcore gamers. I don't know. Creo que es lo más los están olvidando y hay un buen público ahí, loco. Hay un muy buen público.
Yeah, but the problem is how long is the hardcore crowd gonna keep playing the same IPs?
Of course. Pero si te pones a pensar, hasta ellos estarían dispuestos a probar una cosa nueva, ¿me entiendes?
Yeah.
Y esta gente no les está dando nada, o sea, lo que no les está ofreciendo lo que ellos quieren, lo que los deja a la expectativa de que pierdan más gente y they keep on losing, people. And so, I don't know, ended up on bankruptcy. I don't know.
I think right now Nintendo made so much money on the Wii that they have enough energy, cash reserves to last them till 2056. I read somewhere that that's how much money they have in their reserves. So yeah. So I don't know if I'm 100% right. I would have to pull up that report, even if I have to pull it out of my ass. I think it's somewhere out there. That Nintendo has that much money in reserves because of the Wii. They sold so much, dude. I mean, I remember. I mean, it was like a freak of nature. People were actually lining up and at Best Buy and beating themselves over this thing, and iPhone apps were developed just to track where it was going, where people were, where a Best Buy had stock. It was insane. It was a cultural madness, or a cultural part of the the first decade of the 21st century. And now Nintendo is here in a crossroads, trying to figure out what the fuck do we do. Because on one side you have, again, mobile that is eating their lunch. You can't compete anymore. $40, $30, $50 experiences on one single platform compared to a smartphone that is essentially a computer in your hand, and you can modify it and you can play any fucking game you really want if you put enough time and effort into it, right? So that's one front. They're like if there was a Game of Thrones or World War II fucking analogy, I would say Nintendo is being assaulted on major fronts. And you had on the mobile front. There's another front. I would say it's the console front that is about to change on them dramatically because of virtual reality. Sony's about to be the only console that's gonna say, "Hey, everybody, look at the PS4. We're different because we have virtual reality. And look at the other guys. They're still stuck in the last decade." I mean, I'm telling you, that's the marketing that Sony's going to play. And so, again, hardcore gamers, they're going to lose. They're losing their casual gamers from the mobile front. and they're losing their hardcore gamers because virtual reality is going to have sex with their brains.
Siempre me dice como... Wow.
Just go ahead and speak English because I'm recording this, just so you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
This is an improvised conversation with my brother. We'll see where this ends up.
I don't know.
So what were you thinking?
No, the thing is that I'm pretty, concentrated right now on what I'm doing. but again, I was just wanted to know a little bit about what's gonna happen to Nintendo, because for me they're the pioneers, bro.
I agree.
You know what I mean? They're the pioneers, and seeing this big ass company ended up on, I don't know, bankruptcy, or probably being absorbed by some other, probably video game company. It's sad, and it's all because they decided just to get stuck on one single spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they are. I mean, there are signs that they are experimenting with new things. So, for example, just right now, I think if you go on, if you Google Pokemon Master / Google or something. So what it is basically, if you have an Android phone or an iPhone, I think if you go on Google Maps right now, you can actually catch Pokemon off of the Google Maps. So there'll be like little, if you literally like go on Google Maps and then you look around in the map section, you might find Pokemon laying around places. And you can tap on them, and there's a Pokeball, and you catch them. And if you have 150,
and that's how you turn to be a Pokemon master.
Yeah, but this is Nintendo that is partnering with Google on doing this weird something. I don't know what it is. I mean, if it's a marketing scheme, but it's. I mean, my Melissa girlfriend she was playing with it, so she was.
Yeah, I saw some post about that. Actually didn't pay that much of attention to it, but now that you mention it, now I understand how the whole thing is about.
Yeah, so you see Nintendo, is trying a little bit, baby steps, I think, but I don't know if it's too little, too late, or what it is that they're really waiting for. I don't know.
Well. All right, so it's virtual reality. It's eating up the market.
The hardcore, the hardcore crowd is, because I mentioned earlier, like this company Oculus is gonna have fuck tons of cash to play with, and that's because they have this new sugar daddy on the block named Facebook.
And Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes, so Zuckerberg is gonna give, is gonna make sure this is a successful project. This is a successful product.
And well, he has the money to, so I'm pretty sure, he will be able to do it. Yeah. I don't see any problem on doing it, so from his end, of course.
So there's no argument about that. Virtual reality is on its way. It's just a matter of when and how fast the wildfire will spread.
But this is what I've been trying to find out, or at least ask you, ever since I knew that you are getting into this virtual reality thing. How does it feel, to have this? Is it really heavy to have the headset on you? Is it really heavy?
No, it's not. It's not heavy at all, and you forget you have it on.
Oh, okay. Do you find it some way uncomfortable? I don't know. Because I don't know. I see it really big.
Yeah.
And probably like the headsets I'm using right now. Right? I can be with them for like 2 hours, but after that, I feel like fuck my ears. It bothers me so much. I don't know.
That's a really good point you bring up in terms of like the ergonomics and the comfortability of how a VR headset should be, because I personally think that the version 2 of the Oculus Rift development kit that is shipping in July will be it's definitely going to be better in terms of just hard, the graphical and the latency and all that good stuff, and the immersion I think is going to be better. I mean, I already tried it and I think it's better, but the thing is, I think that their foam that they're using could figure out a way to integrate a better foam. It's not that it's not comfortable, it's that I think it soaks up sweat easily from me, for example, and that's gross. For me to be sweating on your Rift or have someone else's sweating on your face sweaty face on your foamy Rift. So that is gonna be a problem they're gonna have to solve, like ventilation inside the Rift. I feel like they're gonna need little fans constantly blowing at your face or something, or some sort of, because it gets hot in there and you don't want the lenses can get fogged up.
Yeah, you can, like, on my end, I can start sweating.
Yeah.
Can start sweating, probably fucked up the whole thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know, how much does it cost? How much does the whole kit cost?
Well, that's the thing. And before I talk about the price, I think the discomfort and compared to what you're going to get out of it will be worth it.
Yeah, but okay. Well, let's say you pay $300 for a kit for an Oculus Rift kit. Example. But let's say you have my problem. I start sweating a lot all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And then probably the whole, kit, it's pretty, water sensible, or I don't know, just a single drop of water or sweat may fucked up the whole thing. And then there you go with $300.
Well,
probably made up, ruined the lenses and stuff.
It's good. Yeah, it's good you brought that up, because there are people thinking about this, just like what you're bringing up. Exactly. There's this guy named Eric Greenbaum. I interviewed him on the podcast a little bit ago, and he is developing or creating this foam sort of padding that is water resistant. And yeah, so he's creating it using it for virtual reality athletes in mind. So if you're a virtual reality athlete, and then in the next virtual reality Olympics, you'll probably be using that foam on your face to train or do whatever you want. But yeah, so there's every problem is just one engineer or one smart person away from getting solved. And now, Oculus has the money to hire all the smart people it wants.
Now they have the money.
It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. They keep hiring people from Valve, the company that probably had some alien technology in terms of virtual reality, like research. Valve had all this fucking technology that they were showing it off to reporters, and I mean, people were coming out from the Valve. Valve is a company that created Half-Life, by the way. I'm sure you know Half-Life and Portal 2 and all that stuff. So Valve created this virtual reality headset that they were showing off this January, a couple months ago. And the reports that people were saying were like, oh shit, it was like lucid dreaming, or it felt like I stepped into another dream, or something like that. Like, people were using really wild words to talk about it. And I was like, damn, that's insane. Why are they holding back? But it feels like there's something happening here that I don't quite understand. How Oculus is acquiring all this Valve talent for virtual reality. I know Valve will is gonna make a penny out of virtual reality some way, somehow, either through software or hardware. Valve is gonna make money. But it's crazy, man. Like, I've never seen this before.
All right. Oh well. So when are you planning to send the Oculus Rift to Nicaragua? Try it out.
Yeah, no, here's the thing. I wonder if your computer would be able to run it.
So what's the requirements?
That is a good question, and I don't know that, actually.
That's alright. Well, we can find out. All we gotta do is simple Google.
Yeah. Google it. Yeah, it's definitely.
Like, it never came across my mind. But now that we're talking about the Oculus, um, I'm wondering, like, what are the requirements to run the Oculus on a regular PC? Like, can a middle class person that has a middle class computer, would that person be able to run Oculus? Know what I mean?
Yeah, that is a good question, and I don't have the answer to that. Because we don't know what the consumer version specs are gonna be. I can tell you from experience, once the consumer version, or I mean the development kit number 2 ships in July, and I try it out on my own, I'll tell you what it feels like on my computer, and my computer is 8 gigs of RAM with Intel i7, NVIDIA GeForce 7045M chip. I think my laptop can run it, and then I'll tell you from that benchmark if
okay.
Yeah.
So here's another.
Because that's a good question. Like, I wonder, you're talking about like affordability, and you don't wanna. They definitely don't want to make a device that isn't that is so, it's so amazing, but yet it's so fucking expensive to be able to have the components to run it, right? I think
exactly, because maybe, I don't know, at least here in Nicaragua, right? When you buy a computer, all you look for is just for your computer to be able to probably run some, I don't know, some standard games, maybe some PS2, or not PS2, but let's say it's startup PS3 games, and the rest the rest will be fucking social network, Facebook, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, like, is it gonna be really hard to get the Oculus run on your computer? Do you have to get a 4 gigabyte video card? Does it have to be an NVIDIA ATI card? Or I don't know. Do you have to have a good RAM memory,
mm-hmm.
To run it properly,
mm-hmm.
right? Because I don't know. Because at least on my end, I know about computers. What's gonna happen to people that, I don't know, see the advertise on TV and say, "Oh, I want to try out the Oculus Rift."
Yeah.
They go to the store, they spend $500 on the Oculus Rift, but when they go and they try to connect it to the computer, that shit don't work. And there you go with $500, right? Because you thought that your computer will be able to run it because you had a regular standard computer. So that's what I wanted to know. What are the main requirements for us in Latin America to run a Oculus Rift on a regular computer? And here's another question as well.
Okay, right? So I have two answers already, but go ahead.
Yeah, but so Oculus people on Oculus are working in the States, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is Japan doing about it? I know Japan is well known as a technology country. That's my definition of Japan.
Yeah.
What are they doing about the Oculus? These people are recognized to be one step ahead on technology from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
What about them? What are they doing about it? Do they have an Oculus Rift version 1.2 V2, whatever? Or I don't know. What do you know? Do you know anything about them?
Okay.
Are they doing anything in reference of that? Go ahead.
So, in terms of your first question, just going back to the whole specs and affordability and whether the average Joe Schmo off of the street can actually plug in and play, that's a good question. I don't have the answer again, but I do have, I mean, in terms of what Oculus is going to do, but I do have two potential possibilities that could unravel, and here are the two. Number one, I think that Sony could come in and say, hey, we're going to make virtual reality super simple for you, because where Oculus can provide you this amazing low latency, endless fountain of possibilities through open source free content and all that, crowdsourcing, content creation, all that good stuff. I think that Sony could play the card of, well, we're just going to give you something that works for PS4 and you just plug it and it works with PS Move, and if you don't want, you can use the controller, but there you go. It works, and it's cheap, by the way, or it's again relatively cheaper than. This is where consoles could make their comeback. I think in virtual reality, they can justify their existence once again by incorporating the next technological revolution, or the next interface between humans and computers. So that's the one answer, right? The second answer to that same question is Valve Steambox. I don't want to go into rumor land here, but I think that Valve has an ace up their sleeve, and I think that it's the Steambox. And what Valve is gonna do is they're gonna release this open source. It can run Linux. It runs Steam OS, which is a dedicated box for just playing video games, and it's upgradable, and you can buy, and there's 14 different models of it, and you can choose which model you want based on your budget and how much money you want to put into it. And essentially what I think this could become is a partnership between Valve, Steambox, with the Oculus Rift. You buy a bundle, Steambox with an Oculus Rift paired into it, and they throw in a couple of Razer Hydra controllers so that you can flail your arms around. That I think could be a good response to the fact that Sony could jump in and again use their muscle there to play that card that I mentioned earlier. And yeah, just going back to your question about Japan, I think that in the grand scheme of things, if I may answer in that way, in the grand scheme of things, I think that virtual reality is a race. It's become the new space race of the 21st century in terms of whatever country lands this technology and makes it mainstream and starts making fuck tons of money off of it first, creating industries and economies all for themselves. Whatever country really takes advantage of this first will have an economic boom, boon, whatever the word is. And I think that for a while I was measuring this in terms of the USA with Oculus, Japan with Sony, and in Europe, Western Europe, they have a couple German, Spanish, French firms, even an English firm that are trying to create virtual reality solutions around using your smartphone or using other headsets. So there you have these three regions of the world with countries and stuff that are trying to race to the top, who can create the metaverse, the virtual reality universe materialized before our eyes. And so far Oculus is winning, and I think Oculus might win, except again I don't discount Sony's advantage right now with the PS4.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I haven't had the chance of dedicating some time on seeing what the PS4 can do. I really haven't had the chance of seeing what's the full power behind the PS4, or at least what the media has shown, right? But I've heard, that fucking console is a beast, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, if I could say if Oculus has a competition right now, I think Sony is the biggest competition he could ever have.
Yeah, I agree.
And that also gives me another question. What's going on with Microsoft? I mean, are they really not looking into it? This Bill Gates, this is what I heard from news. He's the richest man on earth right now.
Yeah, he's won that title again.
Exactly, right? And this Microsoft company, why they haven't put some hands onto it? Why? What's going on with this people?
Dude, a lot of people are scared to say this, but I don't give a fuck. Microsoft does, I think, lacks vision. and I think that they don't. I think they're a follower, dude. I think they're not a leader in the industry anymore. And if they ever were, it was for a short period of time. Um, again, I might not know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I think that if you look at their hardware, the way they do their recent hardware releases with the Zune player, they were late to that game. With their own tablet version, they were late to that game. They're releasing their own phone, Windows Phone. They're late to that game. So they're constantly trying to catch up to markets that are already mature with players that have already sharpened up their skills and their knife, their kitchen knife, so to speak. Again, bad analogy, but you see what I'm saying? Like they're gonna jump in on the bandwagon, the virtual reality bandwagon. It's just a matter of time. But I wonder whether they'll have enough the right foresight to see the future and where this is headed. And I wonder if they'll be able to capture this moment because it's fleeting from their fingertips now that, especially now that Facebook is part of this game as a replaceable player for the time being.
Of course, because they have the resources, so they can start up or at least work on some virtual reality project, right?
And maybe they are. Maybe they're just not telling anyone. Maybe it's one of these secret lab sort of projects that they have hidden somewhere. Maybe, it's a big company. Who knows?
Yeah.
But nothing.
Right.
There's no indication. Yeah.
Yeah. So what have you done with your new, Unreal Engine?
No, just learning it. No, well, the other day I just threw in, the Metal Gear mesh that Carlos made, and I just threw it in this little. Yeah, and I threw it in this little map that I built for a little bit and just checked it out from different angles. Nothing big, man. What I've been, the things that I'm working on right now is just polishing up my material making / just working around, making sure that I know my way around the editor, which is super user friendly, but at the same time, coming from the background that I come from, this is an alien world that I have to explore, for all I know.
Yeah.
But it's fun, dude, and it's rewarding because I think that it's the kind of work that I would find rewarding. Like literally, like it's not like words on a paper, which can sound pretty when you read them, but this is like I can show you what I can show you the images that I have imagined up in my mind. It's almost like telekinesis, so I see it. Like the next evolution of telekinesis.
So the other day, I saw Matrix, the movie.
Yeah.
The first Matrix 1. And meanwhile, I was watching the movie, right? The first thing that came out of my mind was this Oculus virtual reality thing. It's pretty similar. For me, just like Matrix, they put some shit on the back of your head, and then you're connected to the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Virtual reality, you put the headsets on, and then you're in a different world. Right? So, is that the vision of virtual reality, Chris? Is that what they want to end up doing? Like they wanna have us, get into this alternate world, and I don't know. Is that what they're visioning right now?
I mean, I wonder.
From your perspective.
Yeah, that's a super loaded question because first I gotta wonder, like, what do you mean by they? Who is they? I don't.
Well, creator of I don't know. I'm talking about, when I refer about they, I'm referring about people that created the Oculus, right? Or
yeah.
Whoever is thinking on virtual reality business.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude, I think that this is going to become a machine that not one person will be able to have a hold of and have a grasp of. I'm a huge enthusiast, as you can probably already know, and so I'm extremely optimistic in the trajectory that society and virtual reality is headed right now. But the end goal, like what this will look like, I mean, this is imagine this being Cell, like the Cell from Dragon Ball. This is not even. This is how Cell had different evolution, different forms.
Yeah.
By his third, fourth form, he was perfect Cell, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're not even right now in terms of virtual reality in that comparison to Cell, this perfect form. We're probably still an egg incubating. And we have all, again, to reach perfect Cell sort of, ultimate form of virtual reality. And this is where I'm trying to head into, because I mean, they're going to get to a point. I mean, the engineers and the people with the money will get to a point at which real life will be really hard for you to distinguish, just because of the immense amounts of work that people will put into the software over years of work. You're just gonna see the snowball effect of better and better experiences that will feel better than being in the real world. I'll imagine. Who knows again, right? But the thing is, the software is gonna get better, the hardware is gonna get better, right? Like the lenses, the optics, the screens, headphones, 3D audio will be incorporated, and you'll get it'll and so. But the thing is, you can only push that so far, so much. You can't. Unless you project eye directly into the back of your user's retina, and somehow stimulate the visual cortex, electronically, like. I just made that up. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Like because it's just it's crazy town. Like this, all this shit is science fiction, man. I talk about this and I'm like, hold on. Is it? I mean, this could be possible now, but I still feel weird talking about it. I have to stop for a second. So, but dude, seriously, where this is gonna end up is gonna be, we're all gonna be connected somehow. And I talk about connected. We will be connected to the machine, to the internet, to the metaverse, through our brains, and it's already happening. You are already seeing this. Have you heard of transcranial electrotherapy?
No, I haven't.
So if you deliver so there's been research out there that has been replicated a couple of times, so it seems to be legit. There's even a Reddit subreddit about it, but it's essentially they put these electrodes on the back of your head, and they electrocute you. They electrocute your hippocampus, the learning part of your brain, and they send small electrical signals or electrical shocks to it. It's really, 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 really tiny, small, because you don't know I highly recommend anyone from not doing this. Don't do this at home. They said you can kill yourself with a 9-volt battery. Because I started researching, I was like, holy shit! Because here's the thing that they found. Basically, they were able to get people to learn faster, and by again hooking up electrons to their brains, shooting them with electrons. So we're already seeing this small interface of us trying to interface with machines, and the brain, we'll get to a point where like lenses and light shooting at your eyes won't be enough. We'll just have to have dreams projected into our brains. Like the Berkeley, I mean, UC Berkeley just, has been showing off this awesome video where they compiled fuck tons of photos and images from YouTube, and then they had this compiler read your dream, your thoughts, and you would think of an elephant, and the compiler would throw a picture of something that would look like an elephant. Or you think about Steve Martin, the comedian, and then the computer would throw out a picture of Steve Martin, a resemblance of sort of what Steve Martin looks like. And so, it's this shit is happening around us, and it's in its incubating form right now, the cell incubating form.
That's pretty. I don't know. It sounds pretty interested, but at the same time, kind of scary as well. Because because I don't know. It's just me thinking about. Well, I saw Matrix. I know how the Matrix end up. I know how the real world end up. We being controlled by machines,
Well,
right?
yeah.
Because we all decided all of a sudden to be connected on an alternative world that would allow us to do many different things that we're not able to do in the real world, right? For example, and I'm glad but at the same time, it's pretty sad, and I'm explaining you why. Example, let's say a disabled person that can't walk. You hook him up with the virtual reality, and in the virtual reality world, that person will be able to walk. I'm pretty sure that person will not want to be disconnected from the whatever virtual reality world will be at that moment, because he will do whatever he can do on the real world. The only way I think he will decide to get disconnected is just whenever he is hungry or want to go to the bathroom, unless he just is so bad want to be connected that he shit on his pants, or just the heck matter.
Yeah. So you just gave me one of the worst case scenarios in terms of what could happen to virtual reality. And dude, I don't disagree that it's a possibility. I 100% I think that this could go the wrong way. This could happen the bad route. But it will develop over years, and it will be like have you heard of the frog in the hot water analogy or story? If you put a frog in a frying pan with water at room temperature, the frog and then you turn on the heat, but you slowly turn on the heat so that over minutes. So what happens is the frog starts adapting to the heat until all of a sudden it sort of just cooks inside. It just forgets that, oh shit, I should have moved. So what's going to happen to humanity is, I think, what always happens to humanity, we just let the pressure build. We just let the pressure build. Just like climate change right now, we're just letting the pressure build. But for virtual reality, that's what's going to happen. We're going to let the pressure build because there will be too many voices. There might be, the possibility is that that the whole community will be fragmented. There's already people who want this to happen no matter who's in charge, and Facebook being in charge sucks balls. So for that matter, I would be on the other side of the aisle saying, no, we can do this the other way. Because you look at movies like The Matrix, I think they're beautiful, beautiful blueprints of what not to do. We look at The Matrix and say to ourselves, let's not be those guys. And here's how virtual reality could not be that. For example, going back to your worst case scenario, which is that person who's handicapped, who hates life all of a sudden because virtual reality is so much more beautiful, and yet it's not real, right? It sucks. Here's how virtual reality could solve or end up in a happy ending in that case scenario. Because if we use this metaverse, this technology, to create an economy out of it, and from this economy people make money from it, and that handicapped person, that person with disabilities, is able to make enough money to have a good healthcare that is funded properly so that they can afford bionic implants, and all of a sudden, the point of the metaverse, in my mind, I think that it should be a place in which you're not afraid to be yourself, in which you can learn at accelerated paces, but it also should be a place that that you would want to, because it's going to be such a cool place to be in, and people are going to be so cool there because everybody's going to be watched, right? So everyone's going to be on their best behavior. But what's going to happen is, and again, I might be pulling this completely out of my ass, what's going to happen is people are going to be like, holy shit, it's so awesome in the metaverse, why can't we be like this in the real world? And they might take that lesson of missing, you know what I'm saying? I think maybe that...
Yeah, you can mix up the worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you
Yeah,
could,
you can mix it up.
yeah. And so it could happen that people will be nicer to each other because of this whole world that we've created to make sure that we are transported somewhere else. Our minds are transported somewhere else. It's almost like, dude, once all of us are inside VR trying it out for the first time, it's gonna be a giant. It's gonna feel like a giant group drug. like like think just fundamentally, if you just stop to think, holy shit, I am inside a world made of zeros and ones in the presence of millions of other souls flying, through information packets at the speed of light. It's almost like, what the fuck are you? Is this a dream? You know what? You know that, like, saying about technology. Any technology advanced enough might as well be magic.
Jesus.
And we'll get there. It's on its way.
So, 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 one question will be, what not to do to end up in those worst cases scenario? What not to do?
That's a fucking amazing question, and I'm glad you asked. You should dude. You should run my show. You should actually. That was I damn, dude. You're making me look bad in terms of asking questions. That's a good question. You're hired.
Awesome.
Yeah. So. So. Damn, dude. That was such a good question. You're gonna have to say it one more time.
So the question again is, what not to do to end up
Yeah.
in the worst cases scenario?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about that case specifically, but some
Yeah.
other ones, because there's several other cases in which we can end up, like the one you said, you can end up mixing the worlds out. Maybe, I don't know, you decided to start being a serial killer on the virtual reality world. And for the first 3 months, probably, all right, you say, I am a serial killer in the virtual reality world, but some way, somehow, you get confused and you're off the virtual reality world and you start being a serial killer on the real world. Well, right? Just like you can make some money out of it.
Yeah.
You can make a lot of people suffer.
You remember the movie Minority Report with Tom Cruise?
Come again with the name.
Minority Report. And what this movie essentially is basically a group. It's like a police force in the future. And what they do is they have this amazing technology that can predict crimes, within minutes of it about to happen. So they're able to go around the country, and they get to, murders people are about to get murdered, and they get there and stop the crime before it happens. So
basically.
So.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is what's gonna happen. I mean, this is and this is not unheard of. This is not crazy. People laughed at George Orwell, with 1984, and people were saying, and people were saying that, oh, the government doesn't spy on you, bullshit. Yeah, that's bullshit. George Orwell would be rolling around in his grave right now if he only knew how bad the spying is nowadays. And so what I think is going to happen in terms of the whole virtual reality crime, they're going, the governments, because it's not just going to be the U.S., it's all the governments, are going to develop programs to spy on you while you're inside the metaverse. And it's going to be a giant social experiment, because they're going to be able to measure society decisions at a huge rate. So, for example, they'll be able to measure group decisions. Why did this group did that? And then they'll be able to go down even to the individual level and start forming profiles of, like, oh, this kind of person, this does this, and that, and they've done that, and this. They fit the profile of a serial killer, so we're going to put them on a list. And that person can be harassed later on in the real world, or be kept an eye on, even if they were just a regular person. Because this is what happens with humanity, dude. We try to understand the world by putting everything in little boxes. Humans, you're either gay or straight. You're black or white. Nicaraguan or American, or you're either man or woman. We want to put everything in boxes that we can understand, but the problem about the thing that we humans don't understand of reality, and it's something that constantly escapes me, that I keep trying to grasp, is the idea that reality, dude, is gray. Nothing is black and white. Nothing is man or woman, straight or gay. Everything is in the middle. Everything's gray, and because of this, I think that the most awesome things will happen inside of VR, but also some of the most dark shit that will make sure that this, blinding light of freedom and democracy and hope that virtual reality could bring gets dimmed down to a real, reality gray. So that's what's gonna happen.
Right.
They're gonna they're gonna spy on you, put a profile, and then be like Minority Report. Hey, hold on, Junior, we got an eye on you.
But that's thank you for bringing that up. A lot of people are complaining about being monitored. The word monitor, the word spied, right? It creates some sort of, definitely creates some sort of discomfort on me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're saying in a good way. Basically, all right, government or police departments or whoever department that will regulate the virtual reality world with rules and stuff like that, we'll keep an eye on people that could turn a little bit crazier on the real world and do some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Or could end up all mixed up, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a double-edged sword, I would say.
Yeah, it is. Because who's going to watch the watchers?
Yeah, exactly. Who's going to watch the watchers?
Yeah.
And is the watcher a trustful person? Like, would that person wouldn't use your information, or because that person will be able to know everything about you, right? Just like you said, they will create a profile. That profile will determine the way you are in the real life.
Yeah.
Where you go, what time do you go to bathroom, what time you go to lunch.
Yeah, what you see, what you look at, all that stuff, because it's,
Exactly, it creates some sort of discomfort. To be honest with you, from my perspective, that would be one of the main reasons why I wouldn't buy or go into the virtual reality. I mean, even though that I know that at the moment my Facebook, this conversation, or probably my Skype, being monitored by the NSA.
Yeah. But they don't give a shit about us. I mean, we're nothing. We're just talking, and we're just having this conversation that, people will be like, holy fuck, they were kind of ahead of their time, or they would say that, like, these dumbasses, they were being silly. It doesn't.
We're not the only ones, and I really don't give a damn. I'm in Nicaragua. What the
fuck? So here's the thing, like, that you. Fuck, dude, that the really good points. I think that in what people will say over here is like, well, if you got nothing to worry, if you're not doing anything bad, you got nothing to worry about. But that's not how you should look at it that way, because it's not about me. This isn't about me. This whole privacy thing is not about me. I don't, my business is not your fucking business. Plain and simple. That's it. But this isn't about me. It's about you watching me, that argument that be like, if you're not doing anything wrong, then you got nothing to be scared of. Like, that's a non-starter. Don't turn it on me. That's a wife shit. That's like a wife and husband, about to go into divorce sort of, nonsense argument they would use on each other. Like, so, but here's the thing. Like, so it's not about me. It's about who is watching me. How do I trust that person? Because if we're gonna be in a society that fuck you, okay, you're gonna watch me. Well, let's figure out a way to make sure that you're not taking advantage of me, that you're not abusing that power. And I'm talking about like electing officials and really, really real, democracy here somehow. implementing some sort of check, some sort of watchdog that works on behalf of, people, and is keeping an eye on on the spy agencies to make sure that they're not doing any fuckery.
Yeah, fuckery. That's the correct word.
Because here's the thing, like, you and I come from a country, like, we're born in a country where, oppression and dictatorship, we lived it, we saw it, like, yeah. We were part of it, we lived on the other side of it, like on both sides actually, on the revolutionary and the government side, we saw it, and so to me, oppression and government madness is not something that I am immune to. Like Americans, like to think that it couldn't happen in this country. They like to think that they would know better. And I remember thinking about, like, when I first got to this country, like, dude, there's no corruption here. But there is. There's corruption everywhere. It's just a fact of life. And so to just simply dismiss this as something that is just everybody just spies, we'll just get on with our lives. No, it's not that way. It's like it's one of the most fundamental things that we use as human beings. I think privacy is what makes us human, because that's how we have our own identity. If I don't have privacy, which is my dividing line between you and me, then you and me become us.
And in some way, now what the fuck? No, like, what you pretty much doing if you allow this, people to do it, to spy on you and do some crazy stuff about it, and just leave it like that, you're going into a comfort zone, and it's really not good, bro. To be honest with you, and again, that's one of the main reasons why, if I happen to have one, or at least if my country decides on, distributing and sell whatever Oculus thing, I would think it twice. The whole thing is good, but I wouldn't, put my life onto it. I don't know if you get my point.
I know, I see what you mean. I think you have 100% a right to not be trustful of them. I agree. I just think that we don't know yet. And
maybe we're not, or Oculus, or virtual Oculus, whatever. Maybe the virtual reality is not yet to that point, because I know at the moment, virtual reality, it's on its baby steps.
Yeah.
That's right. But I'm talking about in the short future, maybe in the long future. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's why we need to have a concise argument as to what we stand for. What do we expect from the metaverse? Because we are equal share, just like the creators, just like the publishers, just like the technologists and the people with money. The users need to know the truth. Need to know that there is a possibility that people will watch you. People will watch what you see. But because we need to have that discussion. Like, do you want that to happen? No one had the discussion about whether we should have weaponized robots. And we did. And now we have flying robots, going around the world, and at any given second they can deploy a Hellfire missile, evaporating you from the face of this planet. Like, no one had that discussion with me. And I vote, and I pay taxes, and I follow the law, and I'm a good neighbor, and do the thing with my family. Like, we hang out and make my cousins laugh. I'm pretty fucking ordinary, but I'm also, and here's the thing that at the end of the day worries me the most. Like, I am a fucking idiot. I told you this last night. Like, I'm an idiot, dude.
Yeah.
And growing up, I had the privilege to do idiotic things that no one will ever know. Because I was too little to know. I was too little to know any better. Like you do idiotic things when you're a kid. And because of that, and because that past wasn't recorded digitally, you know, through some device, some headset device, I can hold on to that. That holds value to me. That information is mine. But again, the worst case scenario is that I go into this Facebook metaverse and it's beautiful and it's awesome and I just want to be in there. But in the user agreement, you tell me that all my experiences, all the content, everything in there is owned by you. Then you own my experiences, you own my identity, you own my life. Like my virtual life. And you're gonna make it to a point like right now, it's gonna be cute. For a while it's gonna be cute, and all the cool kids are doing it. But eventually, it's gonna become ubiquitous, and it's gonna become a necessity, just like Wi-Fi is a necessity. If an earthquake happens right now, or a fucking flood happens, the first thing I'm gonna look for is food, water, and Wi-Fi, because now it's become a necessity. Now this need to constantly connect, plug myself into the internet, into these waves of information flowing throughout the world, is weird, because from one standpoint, I'm trying to fight a particular direction that it might go in potentially, but again, bringing that up. And on the other hand, I want it to happen so badly. I want this so badly to happen because I think that this is the thing that could help humanity catapult itself past the 21st century, 400, 500, 600, 1,000 years into the future. Like, we could use this technology to harness that energy, that human energy to, dude, the possibilities are endless. I think every problem on the planet, is all it needs is, every problem is just are just obstacles of your imagination, and you just need enough imagination and time working on it to like eventually solve those problems. Unless it's like, quantum mechanics shit or some, super relativity shit. That takes years and years and years to solve. But yeah, man, like, I'm optimistic. I think that we could use technology for the better. And what are we gonna do? Run away? No. Well, we're gonna run straight into it, and we're gonna make it our own.
That's good. Now, because you sound pretty confident about the virtual reality, answering all these crazy questions, and just dealing with any type of worst case scenarios. But let me ask you, or at least, ask you the following: how would you, let's say you own a virtual reality company, right?
Mm-hmm.
How would you advertise your virtual reality product?
Damn, that's a good question. I don't quite know yet. Show a lot of ass, a lot of boobs. And then at 5 seconds of disclaimer, and sell my first.
I thought you were gonna say a 5-second of Mardi Gras. Start with my speech.
But no, there you go. That's my solution. I mean, it's just, how do you sell more Oculus Rift? Boobs, ass, sex, and then an Oculus Rift at the end.
Well, the video you showed me, or you shared with us the other day on our page on Facebook, bro, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was actually, when I saw it, I was like, damn, I wish I could have a virtual reality so I can do that shit. The only thing that I'm missing, because that's only visual, right?
Yeah.
And it's the vision allowing you to imagine.
Yeah. Right?
And imagination would allow you to create on your mind that you are feeling those things, right?
Yeah.
But But again, I think, I don't know, maybe some other device will help. If you know what I mean.
No.
But again,
Yeah, you don't have to hold back, man. I don't have a boss in terms to this show. Like I answer to no one. So we can talk about, virtual reality, flesh-like toys, like a fleshlight. You know what a fleshlight is, right? It's like a tube that you can
yeah.
slide your penis inside of. And my dream for that technology is for it to have some sort of massaging motors uh in them, so that it mimics, you know what I'm saying, like so it mimics, these motors mimic what is happening to your schlong in virtual reality. Like that's how I imagine them. And self-cleaning, obviously, so that it can clean itself and make you breakfast when you're done.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Alright. So, as of today, bro, I think that's all I can say or ask.
That was beautiful. A beautiful conversation.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Because I gotta play the Metal Gear.
Yeah.
The Metal Gear game.
Do that thing.
Ground Zeroes. The fucking Ground Zeroes. That's the name of the game.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
So, I downloaded the game yesterday, and by the way, and my bad. It's really my bad. I know it's your PS3 still, but the thing is that after we end up the conversation yesterday, right, I selected the game and start doing the download thing.
Yeah.
I went to this option, on the left hand side corner, left hand side corner option, that when you turn off the PlayStation 3, right, it gives you an option that as soon as the download is done, the console will turn up, right?
Yep.
I swear to God, I click on the check mark, and when I woke up, the PS3 was on. But yeah. My bad.
Yeah, no worries. It's good. It's all good, man.
I mean, the thing is that it's your PS3, and I'm worried about it.
It's okay.
I really don't want you to charge me for it.
No, I'm not. Just it's fine. Don't worry. I'm all good.
No, but okay.
Did you delete my files? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I didn't.
Okay, then you're good. We're good. Everything's good.
Okay, I think Flowers is gone. I think so.
You fuck. Dude.
I think.
Dude, Flower, really? That was one of that game was art. Oh well, whatever. It's fine.
Alright, and but the other one, it's there.
Don't delete Journey. Don't touch Journey. Don't.
No, I ain't touching Journey.
All right, because I will grab your balls and squeeze them like oranges.
Please don't talk about my balls. For the public, I just had a surgery last week, right, on my balls, so it's pretty touching at the moment. I can talk about my balls right now. It's really touching.
No, I understand. Yeah. This isn't a joke. You really had ball surgery, so. Yeah. Hope you feel better.
I am feeling better.
Good.
My manhood, bro. My manhood. No, but again, yeah, I did have surgery last week. So yeah, bro, I think I will leave you right now.
Cool.
Gotta play.
Go ahead and enjoy Ground Zeroes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I also, meanwhile, while we were actually conversating, I was doing some work, doing some insurance payments.
Yeah.
So yeah, I collected let's see how much money I collected today. 40. Damn, $4,000.
Wow.
Sorry, my bad.
Wow.
Yeah, $4,000.
Yeah, man. That healthcare is full of money.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Healthcare is full of money.
Cool.
All right, people. Thank you very much for your time, and Chris, once again, you caught me on that one, bro. I didn't know you were actually recording the conversation.
Yeah, I do sneaky shit like that. Sorry about that, but I'm glad you did it. So it's all good.
I actually invited Minty to, get on the podcast, or at least the Skype conversation.
We should hella do it, man. I'm hella down for that. Whenever you guys want.
But he said his internet is so bad that he thinks that you won't be able to make it. But probably, I think on Saturday we're going to Derek's house.
Okay.
We get some time, and maybe you're there.
Yeah.
I'll let you know. We have some virtual reality conversation with the public listening to us, to our crazy stuff, and the crazy questions as well.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. I'm down.
All right, bro.
All right, brother. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
All right, bye.